Yo, yo, what's up, my high value bros? What's good with you, man? So, listen, man, I got another video for you guys today, and this title is Women Want It All. You know what I'm saying? So, listen up, right? I saw something on the Shade Room a few days ago. It was on a Thursday, and yeah, the Shade Room. So, you already know, man, it's drama, right? So, they had this post, right? It says, TSR Thirsty Thursdays. They call it Thirsty Thursdays, right? These zaddies have jobs, no kids, and are all over 6 feet tall. So they got some eligible bachelors, you know what I'm saying? So they're talking about, so remember in my other previous videos, I talked about, what attractive women want in high value men, right? Which was good genes, right? So we're talking about looks, right? Fitness, all that. You in the gym, blah, blah, blah. Whoop-de-woo, right? And then, the second category was economic status. Excuse me. Economic investments, I mean. And so now we're talking about, having a good job, you know what I'm saying, entrepreneurship, businesses, investments, that type of thing, right? And then the third category that they wanted was good parenting proclivities, right? But listen what they're saying here, no kids. No kids. They don't even want you to have no kids, you know what I'm saying? So they want you to have good parenting proclivities, but they don't want you to have any kids. Think about that for a minute, right? How many women you meet today, 18 to 30 years old, they don't have any damn kids, you know what I'm saying? So they want you to date with them. They want you to date them with all their baggage and all their children, right? And stepfather their kids or whatnot, but they don't want to deal with you because you have kids. So anyway, it's already starting off with the bullshit, and I haven't even gotten into it yet, right? And then the last one was, the last category I talked about in that previous video was just being a virtuous guy. You know what I'm saying? Good morals and, that kind of a guy. So anyway, let's jump right into it. Check it. The post says, it's Thursday and this week we're quenching your thirst with some zaddies that's got what y'all been asking for. So they're specifically talking to the ladies. The Shade Room got like 25 million followers. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is a good snapshot or a good macrocosm snapshot of the women, and their mindset and see how they feel. Whether they black, white, it don't matter. Women all act the same, no matter what their ethnicity is, what their race is, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Their culture, they all act the same. They all have the same fucking, wiring and blueprint. All right, so anyway, it says, we read the comments and we saw y'all want men's with jobs, right? No children and a little height. Never hurt anyone. So all these guys are over 6 feet tall. You see what I'm saying? All these guys are over 6 feet tall. So now we're talking about the quintessential, eligible bachelor, the high value man, ostensibly, right? I talked about, when you have the looks, money, status, and all that, that just gets your foot in the door. That just gets you on the playing field to be, interacting and dealing with women in the dating game. See what I'm saying? Having your shit together. But that doesn't necessarily make you high value. Your mindset does. Anyway, moving on. Right? This time around, we decided to ask them a question everyone has an opinion about, right? When it comes to the bills, what's up? If y'all go on a date, we have to be reaching into your purse. If he adore you or will he Dior you? Woo! Well, swipe through and let us know what y'all think of their answers. You see what I'm saying? So they want to find out, like, how do you feel about, gender roles in terms of paying the bills? Okay? Good question. Now remember, in my book that I talk about, especially when you go on your first date with these women and they're not really your girlfriend, your wife, that type of thing, you should keep your dates at a $50 max. You see what I'm saying? Because she's not your girl, she's not your wife, she hasn't even deserved that type of a treatment from you. You want to treat your first date as if it's an interview. You know what I'm saying? You want to pre-qualify her. You're vetting her out. You know what I mean? So when you take her out on a date, it's like, first of all, you want to set up, someplace that's close to your place where she has to drive to you, because we're talking about the meet that I talk about also. You want to have a woman to meet you. High value men, we want women to reciprocate our interests. And the MEET acronym that I have is money, effort, emotion, and time. You see what I'm saying? We require women to meet us halfway. You see what I'm saying? we don't see women as a liability. We see women as assets. As a matter of fact, we spend our whole life accruing and amassing assets to include, women when we interact with them. You see what I'm saying? So, simps, beta cucks, and all that, low value guys, you know what I'm saying? They come out of pocket, they simping, they tricking or whatever. So to them, women are a liability, and the onus is on them. However, conversely, high value men, we're not down with that, bro. Nah. You know what I'm saying? We're valuable. We're valuable. We want to return our investment. She has to add value to your life. Okay? So keep those dates under $50, man. You take her out for drinks, pick her brain, see if she lines up with you. You know what I'm saying? The date goes well, or whatever. You invite her back to your place. Have a bottle of wine. You seduce her into the bedroom and intimacy. You know what I mean? That's how that shit works. But anyway, let's move on. All right, so the first contestant is, his name is AJ. And you can see this post. It's last week, Thursday. You can see the post. Name AJ, age 26, hometown, South Central Los Angeles. Zodiac, Scorpio. This brother is 6'3". You know what I mean? Occupation, IBEW, local 11, electrician and founder of the Healing Circle LA. Number of kids, 0, right? Now, all these guys that's on the post, you know what I'm saying? These are very, handsome guys and whatnot. They're fit guys. So they fit the model, okay? They fit the template of a high value man, ostensibly, but check it out. Here's the question. It says, do you think men should cover all of the bills? Explain why or why not. Absolutely not. A companionship is, okay, here's the question. It says, do you think men should cover all of the bills? And it says, explain why or why not. And the guy goes, absolutely not. A companionship is a joint partnership responsibility. As far as most of the bills, yes, but ain't no freeloading. You know what I'm saying? Now, I like this guy's mindset. I agree with him. You see what I'm saying? There's no freeloading. You're not going to be a liability to me. You're going to be an asset in some type of a way. Through that MEET acronym, you're going to meet me halfway with your money, with your emotions, with your effort, and your time. You see what I'm saying? So obviously we're talking about bills. So now we're talking about either a marriage or a cohabitation type situation with you and your girl. Okay? And so this brother here, I agree. He says, hey, as far as most of the bills, yes, but ain't no freeloading, okay? So as a high value man, you're gonna have this shit together, right? So more than likely, you're gonna have the girl to move in with you, which is what I would recommend. You see what I'm saying? You want your girl to move in with you. However, sometimes, if her place is bigger or whatever the circumstance may be, sometimes you may end up moving in with your girl. You see what I'm saying? But at either case, you want to be able to afford the place where you're living at. In other words, like what happens when the relationship goes south? You see what I'm saying? If that relationship goes south and she moves out, you guys break up, then what? Now you're stuck with an apartment or a home or whatever the hell you guys are living in. Now you're stuck with something you can't afford. So you're either going to lose it, you're either going to get evicted, or you're going to get foreclosed on unless you sublet it and rent it out, the other room or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Where you can afford it. You're going to have to take an extra job or something to compensate for that monetary loss. So you want to be able to afford whatever apartment or home or whatever the fuck that you're living in by yourself. That way, if she leaves, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to worry about, no 50-50 split and none of that. You know what I'm saying? But when he says most of the bills, yes. And that most part, I would say let's break it down to like an 80-20 type thing. This 80-20 relationship or ratio works very well in several parts of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, all right, you want to be able to cover the rent. You want to be able to cover the mortgage by yourself. You see what I'm saying? And you want to have her to pay the utilities, hypothetically, for example. So you cover the rent, you cover the mortgage, but she pays the utilities. She pays for, you know what I'm saying, the Wi-Fi, cable, if you got it, whatever, you know what I mean? Miscellaneous shit, the groceries and all that, you know what I'm saying? Like the other, ancillary expenses that the utilities that the house comes with, you know what I mean? You want to have her to cover that because you want to have her to have some type of expenditure coming out of her pocket, whereas she's investing too. A woman has to invest in you, okay? If a woman has no investment in you, there's no fear of loss because she's getting all the profit. You see what I'm saying? She has nothing to lose when and if she decides to to leave. And you know how flaky women are. Women are fastidious, you know what I'm saying? They're very, you know, flaky, they're hard to please, and they act like cats, they come and go or whatever. So, you know what I mean? You're always rolling the dice with women or whatnot. So this is why you have to be self-assured. This is why you have to be self-secure. This is why you have to be, you know, have value in terms of, you know, you want her to see you as a prize and not, you know what I'm saying, want to lose you because you're so valuable. And that's the thing, right? Remember, high value men, we don't have woman as the focus of our lives or the trophy of our wives, etc. Of our lives, etc. You see what I'm saying? But I agree with this guy. All right? Let's move on to contestant number 2. You know what I'm saying? This brother's name, he is Israel. And again, you can guys go to the post. It's last week, Thursday, the Shade Room, right? Israel, he's 27, hometown, Brooklyn, New York, Zodiac, whichever one you want. That's what he wrote. You know what I'm saying? Height, 6'4", occupation, electrician, no kids. Question, do you think men should cover all the bills? Explain why or why not. Here's what he says. He says, hell no. The only way I'm covering all the bills is if we live together. And even then, she better take care of the house chores and be giving me one of the 3 kids I want. What I look like paying for something that ain't tied to my name? You know what I'm saying? So this brother's got the right mindset too. You see what I'm saying? So he's saying if we live together, the only way I'm covering all of the bills is if we live together. Well, hold up, that kind of missed me. He said the only way that I cover all the bills is if we live together. So he's thinking, he's got a simp type mindset, right? You living with me, I'm covering all the bills. I'm covering all the bills. Yeah, it costs to be the boss, but all the bills, bro. So the whole onus is on you. She getting a free ride, and see, this is what these women want. They want a free ride. You see what I'm saying? And the whole liability is on him. So the women in his life are basically liabilities. You know what I'm saying? So this brother here, he coming out of pocket. You know what I mean? So he's simping, big time. He's having transactional sex. You know, and these women probably don't really, you know, like him for who he is, or I wouldn't even say love him. They probably like him. They don't really like him for who he is, but they're liking the benefits, the financial benefits that he provides. You see what I'm saying? And he says, and even then, she better take care of the house chores. At least he's requiring her to do something. Clean, wash the dishes, do the laundry and all that. And, you know, even high value men, we can do that shit ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You can cook, you can clean, you can wash your own fucking dishes or whatnot. So you really don't need a woman for that either. You see what I'm saying? But see, your woman is your complement. She's your helper. She's your assistant. She's your co-pilot. She's your co-star of your movie. Remember, a high value man, you on God status, man. You on king status, right? You're the star of your own movie. So the co-star is like, you know, they're supporting you. They're like the co-pilot, like I just said in those examples. So you want to delegate and assign some of the household duties, some of the chores, to take some of that pressure off of you, so that you can continue to go out and dominate the world and, you know, produce and create and leave your stamp on the universe and, you know, start companies and products and shit like that, create residual income and say, you know what it is, right? So he's saying she better take care of the house chores and be giving me one of the 3 kids I want. What I look like paying for something that ain't tied to my name. Wow. Okay. So this guy right here is a simp. See, ostensibly. See, I use that word a lot. I say ostensibly. You know, he's got his shit together, so that makes him eligible to play ball. But does he really have a high value man mindset? No, my bros. No, he does not. You know what I'm saying? This is a simp right here. All right. Moving on to contestant number 3, Brian Wright, age 32, Broward County, Florida. You know what I'm saying? Queens. So he in my county, Broward. You feel me? He's a Pisces. He's 6'3". You know what I'm saying? He's a personal trainer. Oh shit, I'm a personal trainer. Let's see what he's talking about, right? No kids right now. Okay. So the question. And to answer the question, do I think men should cover all the bills? Well, to me, it all depends. If you are in a building a relationship and both couples work, I believe 50-50 is fair in that type of relationship. Why? Because it shows a sense of gratitude for each other. It can prevent blow-ups in each other's faces if there was a heated argument on who pays for what. I believe 50-50 would make a relationship better because you're depending on each other, and depending on each other will for sure make the love more committed. Okay, I see his logic there. You see what I'm saying? So he's saying the 50-50 split, where both people are building or whatnot, you know what I'm saying, and depending on each other. Now the 50-50, I don't necessarily agree with, because this is just my opinion. You know, so this is how I feel about it. I don't necessarily agree with it because, you know, a lot of women, you know what I'm saying, they don't like that whole 50-50 breakdown scenario. You know what I mean? You know, because, you know, they're more into, well, a man should provide, and a man should provide, and so on and so on. I believe in that. You know, there are gender roles. It says that, remember the proverb the code that I live by, it says the highest calling of a man is to protect woman so she can walk the earth unharmed. And so when you protect her physically, you know, like you're her personal bodyguard, you know what I'm saying, you protect her when you guys are out, you protect her, you know, at the house where you guys live at, you know what I'm saying, with that protection, you're providing security for both of you guys to thrive. Now, in my book, I talk about, you know, how our parents, you know what I'm saying, the baby boomers and maybe our grandparents or whatnot, you know, back in the 60s, 50s or whatever, you know what I'm saying, it was the industrial age, and it was easier for the man to go out, you know what I'm saying, work, you know what I'm saying, maybe one job at the factory, you know what I'm saying, bring that paycheck home while the wife is at home, you know what I'm saying, being a housewife, dealing with the kids and on the home front and this, that, and the other. Where women generally didn't have to work a full-time job. You know, they usually took like a part-time job because they wanted their own money and shit like that. That paradigm, that archetype is pretty much archaic, it's outdated. It don't really exist anymore. You know what I mean? So when you have a couple that's living together, that's cohabitating, or you're married, you know, unless you just a multi-millionaire, or you know, you got a six-figure income, that kind of thing, you got that kind of status, you got that kind of money as a high-value man, even then, you see what I'm saying, you still want that woman to contribute to that household. You want her to be paying at least the utilities, bro, the food or something. She has to invest. She has to be some type of a value to your life in that MEAT acronym: money, effort, energy, money, effort, emotions, and time. You see what I'm saying? They have to contribute to that. So, but if you're doing 50-50, then it's a little bit too much, because now she's going to be wanting to compete with you. You see what I'm saying? You kind of lose the edge of being, let's say, quote unquote, head of household. So I still believe in the 80-20 ratio. I still, you know, advise that you pay for the mortgage, you pay for that rent, etc., instead of the 50-50, because again, like you said, if he said it can prevent blow-ups. I disagree, because let's say when the blow-up happens, then what? You know what I'm saying? If you're depending on her to make that rent or that mortgage, now you're fucked up. You see what I'm saying? So in his scenario, they may have a blow up, but because they're depending on each other to live there, you know, now they're in a toxic relationship, and they're only together because they need a place to live. And a lot of people in that situation, there's a lot of people in these toxic ass relationships, you know what I'm saying? And everybody knows they shouldn't be together, but they just together because of the bills, and that's some fuckery. So now they're cheating on each other and this, that, and the other. They're not really getting along. You know, you done seen them. You don't want to be that. You know what I'm saying? So now I don't advise against this guy. Contestant number 4, last one, right? Mo Duggins, age 32, Norfolk, Virginia. Zodiac, Sagittarius. He's 6'2". Occupation, he's an engineer, right? Do you think men should cover all the bills? Explain why or why not. Here's what he says. Every relationship is different. However, I was raised to be a provider, old school in parentheses, he says, right? Furthermore, I would like to take pride in providing for my significant other, whether she needed me or not. Okay, so he's taking care of 100% of the bills. And again, you can do that. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, so he basically, you know, like he said, he's old school or whatnot. So, hey, if you want to ride out like that, that's cool. But, you know, what is she reciprocating to you? What is she investing into you? Other than just laying on her back, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, that's something to really to ruminate on and to think about, because remember I told you that sex is a benefit for both parties, for you and your girl. It's pleasurable, right? You're both getting a benefit. And if you're a high value man, you putting it down, you know what I'm saying, more so seductively and a lot better than the average dude. You know what I mean? Because you're in shape, you're eating right, you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna be able to perform better, you fit, you know what I'm saying? You thinking out the box, you're not just having the average sex. You know what I mean? You into the Kama Sutra, your foreplay is off the charts. You know all about her body, how to make her come and all that. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about blowing her back out. It's about blowing her mind and her motherfucking back out in all kind of various places, and you know what I'm saying? Just blowing her mind. You know what I mean? So, you know, sex with a high value man is like having sex with a sex god, because you are. You know what I mean? So anyway, I say that to say that, you know, this guy was he just probably pedestalizes women. This is how he was raised, and you know, I'm gonna take care of my wife and my kids. You know, I'm the breadwinner. So in other words, he feels more of a man, you know, by being able to, you know, take care of his woman, and you know, 100%. You know, if you want to ride out that way, go ahead. But you basically simping, my bro. You know what I mean? Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up like Dr. Dre. And you can also see that in the shade room and World Star and whatnot, right? Right now, Dr. Dre, they was married, 20 years or so? Now they getting divorced. And now his ex-wife, bro, she wants $2 million. $2 million in alimony. $2 million a month, bro. No, $20 million, my bad. Shit, hold up. $20 million in alimony, bro. So, this is what happened. No, $2 million. My bad. I'm sorry. It's $2 million. She wants $2 million a month in temporary spousal support. You know what I'm talking about? So all you niggas out here that's doing the 100%, right? Your woman is a liability to you. You taking care of all the bills. So now she's dependent upon you. Now she's adjusted to your lifestyle. Now y'all married. You cohabitate. You know, a lot of states say that, hey, when you cohabitate for at least seven years or whatever, you common law wife or whatnot. Now y'all break up, shit goes south, women are flaky, you know that. You know what I'm saying? They come and go as they please or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? As long as the situation fits them and their hypergamy. Because this is basically what we come down to. We're talking about hypergamy. Women, you know, wanting to level up. And again, like I said, hypergamy is not a bad thing because, you know, when you think about it from their point of view, a woman wants to settle down with a man that's financially secure. So that the bills are paid, everything is stable, they're not broke. And broke meaning that, hey, when you're broke, that means that you cannot function. That means your lights off, you know, you don't have any gas in your car, you behind your rent and shit like that. You see what I'm saying? So they wanna, you know, settle down with men who are financially secure. You see what I mean? Now, if they can get with a beta male provider, which is what this guy is, that says 100% I'm old school or whatnot, yeah, they gonna settle down with you. Yeah, this is what they want, especially after they hit the wall at 30. You know what I mean? Women typically they want to get married like after 30, after they spend all their high sexual market value years from 18 to 30. That's their high sexual market value years. So a lot of these women, you know, they go to college, you know, graduate around 23, 24. You know what I mean? And they'll party hard, you know what I mean? And club and shit every fucking weekend. And even in college, man, they wilding out. You know what I'm saying? You know, especially if they want some sorority sisters. They smashing everything in sight with the sorority brothers and the jocks and all that, right? They off the chain. They loose with it, right? A lot of them might be stripping and like a lot of them might be selling ass. You know what I'm saying? As call girls or whatnot. I'm just telling you how these chicks are in that age group, you know what I'm saying? But around 25, they start to get a little bit more mature, not into their careers, they got their degrees or whatnot, you know, and so, you know, they'll I don't want to say settle down, but they'll start dating guys a little bit more seriously, and, you know, test this out, test that out, you know what I'm saying? And they meet a lot of high value guys because they're marketable, right? They got high sexual market value, but what they end up doing is they just exercise the hypergamy. Who's got the most looks? Who's got the most money? Who's got the most status? And they'll break up with you and end up with this guy and level up. They're a monkey branch, right? This is what they do, right? Up until about 30. And once they have all their fun, riding that merry-go-round, that carousel, right? Around 30, they get an epiphany. Boom, oh shit, I'm 30. I'm not married yet. I got all these kids, maybe. And I tell you guys not to date women with 2 or more kids from 2 different fathers. 2 or more kids from 2 different fathers. That's community pussy, right? Especially if they haven't been married. I talk to you guys about that in my book. So when they hit 30, they be like, oh man, shit, I better get married. Let me find me a baby male provider. And that's what they're gonna find. I got like that. Contestant number 4. Now, I'm gonna tell you it's proof, right? Because what I did was I took screenshots, and I'm gonna post them video, you'll see them. I took screenshots of most of the comments. It was thousands of comments, but I just took a few screenshots, and you would see that all the women in the in the comments, most of all the women in the comments, you know what I mean, were liking number 4. They put down number 1, 2, and 3, whatever they, you know what I'm saying. And they were like, oh, number 1 cute, but oh, his mindset, you know what I'm saying? They didn't really like this. He's a high value man, you know what I mean? He thought like a high value man. He thinks like a high value because he is. But it was like, oh, number 4. Number 4, hands down, Why number 4 though? Why number 4? Because they want a free ride. That's why. You see what I'm saying? Guys, I keep telling you, you have to make women meet you. Money, emotions, effort, and time. A woman has to invest in you with those 4. And when she does those 4, when you require her to do those 4, guess what she's going to want? She's going to want a return on her investment in the form of a commitment, or AKA a relationship, that type of a thing. She's going to be more invested. She wants to lock in. You see what I'm saying? So nobody wants to lose on anything that they invest in. They want a return on it. That's why you put money into it. You want to see it grow. You want to harvest. You want to be able to harvest what you just reaped. No, you want to be able to harvest what you just invested in or planted. You see what I'm saying? So, or what you sowed. Yeah, you reap what you sow. So they want to harvest what they sowed, which is basically their meat energy. And a lot of guys, these low value guys, these simps, these cups, these betas, they don't require women to do anything but to simply have a pussy. So anyway, man, that's all I wanted to talk about, man. In this video, women want it all, bro. Like literally, they want it all. I just showed you. It's right here. You can look it up yourself in the shade room, man. Anyway, I'm out. That's all I got, man. Hey, get your t-shirts. You see me rocking it. You see what I'm saying? The High Value Man t-shirts. Go ahead and grab that. Also, guys, add me on Instagram, man. Ace_Heyru. Shoot me a DM. Give me a video topic, bro. Yo, Ace. Talk about this. Yo, Ace, I had this type of scenario. Yo, Ace, this happened to me. What do you think? Whatever. And I'll make a video about it. But in the interim, it's cool. I keep coming up with more content. You feel me? Yeah, so get your book, man. High Value Man. How to Be a High Value Man. The Blueprint to Success with Women. That's pretty much, man. I'm out. I'll see you guys next video. Holla. Love. Peace. Yeah.